On the morning of September 11th, 2001, the terrorists came to America. 4 commercial airliners were hijacked and used to destroy the United States' international symbols of wealth and power. As a horrified nation watched on television, smoke poured from the Pentagon, and the twin towers of the World Trade Center collapsed in a smoldering pile of twisted steel.
We saw the second plane crash, and we got permission to take off, heading toward New York. I actually saw the towers fall. All you could see was smoke. It was a dust pile. That's all we could see. Major Anthony LaSure.
The world was stunned. Colin Powell, who was now the nation's first African-American Secretary of State, spoke for freedom-loving people everywhere when he said,
"They can destroy buildings, they can kill people, but they will never be allowed to kill the spirit of democracy." Secretary of State Colin Powell.
America declared war on the terrorists who had ruthlessly murdered 2,973 people.
To the men and women in our military, every sailor, every soldier, every airman, every Coast Guardsman, every Marine, I say this: your mission is defined. The objectives are clear. Your goal is just. We will not waver, we will not falter, and we will not fail. President George W. Bush.
Aboard the USS Enterprise, a sailor, whose name was never recorded, expressed the sentiments of all his shipmates when he said,
"Our role is to protect America. And that is what we're going to do."
In less than 2 months, American Marines had established a base in Afghanistan. They were kept resupplied and refueled by KC-130 transports. The men and women flying some of the planes made regular runs from bases in Pakistan. When one of the aircraft went down, 7 Marines lost their lives, including the war's first African-American casualties, Sergeant Jeanette Winters and Gunnery Sergeant Stephen Bryson. In a final Christmas card home, Stephen had written,
"Hi, Mom. I'm sure you know by now that I won't be home for Christmas. But I wanted to make sure you got this card from me. I miss you and hope everything is well. Have a wonderful holiday season and don't worry about me. I'm fine. Love, Stephen."
As the United States gained a foothold in Afghanistan, the war on terror spilled into Iraq. Despite protests at home and abroad, American servicemen and women were soon marching towards Baghdad. For the first time in history, the world was able to watch the conflict unfold in real time, courtesy of satellite video phones and journalists embedded in frontline units. One of the Marines that television viewers got to know was First Sergeant Edward Smith, a seemingly indestructible family man who was about to retire and to become a cop when he was needed in Iraq. As his unit headed to the front, he sent a short message to his buddies in the Anaheim Police Department.
"Things are going well here in Central Iraq. I'm doing fine. The Marines are staying the course. Tell everyone that I said hello. I'm taking a SWAT team ball cap all the way to Baghdad. If you can send me a small flag, I'll fly it in Iraq. Stay safe. Smitty.
Shortly before his men were due to enter Baghdad, First Sergeant Ed Smith was killed in action. The attack was captured on network television, and his death sparked a nationwide outpouring of sympathy.
First Sergeant Smith, you are a true American hero. One day we will meet, because I know that Marines stand guard at Heaven's Gate. Gary Decker, Petersburg, Virginia.
Baghdad fell to American forces in a matter of days, but the long and bloody battle for Iraq had just begun. As American troops settled in for the long haul, Lieutenant Colonel Reginald Allen assumed command of the 1st Squadron, 10th Cavalry, also known as the Buffalo Soldiers. He was the first black officer in the unit's 138-year history to ever lead the men into combat.
The incredible thing about the Buffalo Soldiers, especially those who served early on, is that they love this country enough that through the racism, through the bigotry, they still wanted to serve. They served with pride and honor and professionalism. That is absolutely no different than what the Buffalo Soldiers today are doing. We'll do it as best we can, as long as we can, until it is time for us to go home to our families. Lieutenant Colonel Reginald Allen.
God bless America.
American servicemen and women were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan when back home, the American people elected their 44th president. On a cold winter morning, with 1.8 million people in attendance, Barack Obama placed his hand on Abraham Lincoln's Bible and repeated the oath of office.
So help me God.
With those words, the United States of America had its first black commander-in-chief.
The time has come to reaffirm our enduring spirit, to choose our better history, to carry forward that precious gift, that noble idea passed on from generation to generation, the God-given promise that all are equal, all are free, and all deserve a chance to pursue their full measure of happiness.
God bless America, my home, sweet home.
The story of America's black patriots is a paradox. Since 1641, there has never been a time in our history when African Americans were unwilling to serve and bravely sacrifice for their country. Yet, despite this valiant heritage, until recently, no matter the conflict, Whenever America was engaged in war, the question, would the Negro fight, was raised in numerous ways, and always with the same racist assumptions. African Americans were inferior. They couldn't be trusted with a gun. They didn't have the intelligence or the courage to fight. They wouldn't follow orders, let alone ever be capable of giving them.
As history has vividly demonstrated, what ultimately needed to be asked wasn't would the Negro fight, but rather why. As African American servicemen and women continue to shed their blood in the defense of the United States, the answer to that question is abundantly clear. Like all Americans in all wars, African Americans fought for love of liberty.
Tell me, weary soldier, from